Shall I take your seat now?
Oh, not mine. Sorry.
It's all right.
Oh, can I? Yeah. He's on the application. Okay.
So, we'll quickly do some invocational prayers. We call it Jara Dhamma prayers. That's a prayer that's invoking the presence of Lord Krishna. Why we need to do that? Because if we are together and what we have to discuss is related to Krishna, we need to invoke his presence. And also these prayers is meant to revive our awareness that every one of us is searching for Krishna. And Krishna is a personality. He's always been around in the universe, coming because of us. And he comes in different ways, in different forms. And today, incidentally, is one of the celebrations of his avatars, Lord Ramachandra. So we chant this Jara Dhamma prayer. And then we give some discussion on whatever that Krishna is.
Can you watch from?
Yeah.
Okay.
We're very happy, and we're happy to introduce His Holiness Bhakti Vasudev Swami here in Tampa. His Holiness Bhakti Vasudev Swami is a monk of the Gaudiya Vaishnava tradition, a doctoral researcher of leadership and organizational change, and a scholar of social sciences. He was born in Malaysia State, Nigeria, and commenced his wide-reaching religious and communal activities there in 1984 with the International Society for Christian Consciousness. His Holiness frequently travels around the world to educate diverse audiences on the values of love, peace, unity and diversity, self-realization, positive change, and community development. As a scholar of international repute, Vasudev Swami has been invited to present papers at major international conferences across the globe, and is published widely in academic and secular journals over the years. So please join us in welcoming His Holiness Bhakti.
Very good. Hare Krishna.
So we chant the Radha Madhava prayer very briefly. Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari
Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari
Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari
Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jaya Gopi Jana Madhava Girirajari
Yashodanandana
Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari
Hare All glory to the Son of devotees. All glory to the Son of devotees. All glory to the Son of devotees. All glory to all glory to Guru Maharaj. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. 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 Om Jnana Tinanasya Jnana Vinasaya Saksya Chaitanya Sayan Rupa Vedati Come. Vanchikapatari Acharya Pripasya. So, they are very much welcome to this auspicious appearance, celebration of Brahmani. And Balaram appeared in Ayodhya on this planet. Sometimes scholars of religion, they say that Ram's appearance is a mythology. That is not a mythology. It is a real reality. It is documented in the Vedic literature. And even today, the traces of the pastimes of Lord Ramachandra on the planet are still there. So, for people who think that, you know, the Vedic literature or the content of the Vedic literature, especially amazing pastimes like that of Lord Ram, are simply, you know, something that, you know, is born out of concoction, and that is really pathetic, because we all know that history is a major discipline even in the academy. And historians, especially Vedic historians, have told us and have documented that Lord Ram did appear on this planet some millions of years ago. And the essence of Lord Ram's appearance, for those of you who do not have a clear of that, Lord Ramachandra is just in Krishna, and Krishna appeared as in different forms. We call them avatar. By Krishna, I mean, I'm referring to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. People will have different names they call God, and you know, like in the biblical literature, people call God Yahweh. I mean, yeah. And among the Muslims, they call God Allah. But these are different languages, you know. But we understand from the Vedic perspective, scholars of Sanskrit and Vedic literature, they've brought to bear that the same personality of Godhead, that very personality of Godhead, is called Krishna. And in Sanskrit, Krishna means the all-attractive personality of Godhead. And Ramachandra, or Lord Ram, means the reservoir of all pleasure. We are all looking for pleasure in this world, isn't it? I'm not looking for pleasure. Raise up your hand. Everybody in this world is looking for pleasure. Why are we looking for pleasure? Because pleasure is inherently dominating our consciousness in a dormant state. Like someone is sleeping. He's not aware of what is happening. But that personality is there. If you wake that person up, you'll be aware of what is happening. That is basically how pleasure, the pleasure potency is lying dormant in us. And incidentally, we as individuals, as jivas, we have three characteristics. Like you see in this physical body, it's just made up of earth, water, fire, air, ether. Subtle bodies consist of mind, intelligence, ego. And then there is the soul proper. The soul, which is being carried by the subtle body, mind, intelligence, and ego. Even in your sleeping state, you find yourself doing some things, some other city, some other country, some other place. That is the subtle body. The soul is within that subtle body. The soul is connected with this physical body by what literally we call a thin silver thread. Now, any little agitation that the body experiences, that connection calls back the subtle body and the soul back to the body immediately, and the person wakes up. So that soul is characterized by eternity, bliss, pleasure, and knowledge. That is why we are looking for pleasure, because it is inherent right in the soul. Another thing we have to understand is that Lord Ramachandra, who is represented, that is Krishna himself, who comes to teach us how to live our people, how to lead organizations, how to lead our community. It's the same personality of God. Imagine if God has some qualities that he has to display to be able to help us to move ahead. And if he sees we, his creatures, struggling to survive, why would he sit back and watch us suffer? That is why the Lord comes in different incarnations to be able to give us the leverage. So when he appeared as Lord Ramachandra, the essence of his coming was to be able to inculcate in human society the principles of leadership. But not only that. I said not only that, in the sense that when Lord Ramachandra appeared, there are so many lessons we could learn from his activities. And one basic lesson, grossly we should understand from Lord Ram's appearance, is that he did not appear alone. He appeared in a quadruple form. Who knows the order of Lord Ram's brothers? Yes. Lord Ram's brothers. I didn't call you. Yes? 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 Satrugna?
Shatrugna.
Ram. There are four. I was just, to sign this. So, why did he have to come with some other brothers? Why? Why did he just come alone? Can someone give us a clue, an idea? Why did Lord Ramachandra have to come with some other brothers? For what? He's the supreme person of God. He doesn't need anybody. He doesn't need any companion. He doesn't need any association. Why does he have to choose? Why did he choose to do that? Now, our modern day civilization, I don't know where we are copying it, but even religious people will find that instead of following the basic tenets of instead of copying what is there in the scripture, example given by the Supreme Lord himself, even Lord Krishna, when he appeared, he didn't come alone. Correct? Huh? Yes. Krishna did not come alone. He had Balaram, Subhadra with him. Correct? Why are we choosing to give birth to only one child? Where did we learn that? Where did we learn that from? And I've seen this. So the point is, it's a sociological principle that it's something that relates to our everyday reality. I had a friend in Pennsylvania. The first time I got to know this family, the very first thing I queried the lady, because she dragged me to their house. The very first thing I queried the lady, I said, why did you choose to have only one child? Because they have only one boy. At that time, the boy was 18 years old. He was in college. When the boy was 19, I got a mail from the devotee who was overseeing the Bhakti Vasudev program in that community that boy died. I said, oh my goodness, these people's spiritual life is gone. And it's exactly what happened. So the point is, we are not praying for any bad thing. But, and I can tell you my own mindset. My mindset, this is my mindset. I am expecting the worst situation, the worst encounter on the planet that I will have. If the best happens, okay, thank you, Krishna. But if the worst happens, I know I was prepared for it. I was prepared for it. Because to be optimistic alone is not enough. We should also be hopeful. Hope is divine. Optimism is simply a material construct, which of course may motivate us, but there is no substance in optimism alone. Therefore, we have to be able to strategize to create a viable future for ourselves. The family is a microcosm of the society, of the nation. Now, if the family is not consolidated, then there is a problem in society. Imagine if you have only one child and the child, by misfortune, something happens. This world, it is described in the Bhagavatam that every step you take, you could expect the worst situation, expect a dangerous trend of events. This is what the scripture says. The world we are living in this world is also described as we are Mrityu Loka Bhasis, a residence of the planet of death. Correct?
Yes.
But that was just America.
It's everywhere.
Oh. Now,
So, the point is, Lord Ramachandra, I like to reiterate this point. Lord Ramachandra appeared with order of his expansions. Now, from the social scientific point of view, when children are growing up in the family together, they have better cognitive abilities. When the child is alone in the family, the child does not have anyone to play with. Attention of the child will not be glued in the home. It will be centered on outside friends. In other words, your child may be there, but his mind is not there. His mind is with his friends outside. And the friend, there's a big bond, peer pressure these days. I remember I went to one state, I think that was in Ohio. We were going to a program, and this family, young couple, they had one girl, a teenager. And so the girl, she was very enthusiastic following us to, I went to their home for a home program. And then, she was very enthusiastic. She was telling the dad, wherever my manager is going to give a talk, I want to be there. Small girl, 12 years. But, we had to go for a program. And then her friends called her without, without any preparation. Her friends called her and said, no, we want you. We're going for a party. If this, our friend, his brother is having his birthday. So you have to, we are coming to pick you in the home, from your home. And if you don't come with us, finish, no friendship again. And so the girl was shaking. What to do? She should go for the program or lose her friendship with all these other girls? She has to choose to go with the girls. She told the father, this is the dilemma I'm having, so I can't go for the program. My friends will come to pick me up. And the parents, they couldn't say no because, there is no one else in the home that will play with this girl. And so the point is, even not just for playing, not just for sociological build-up, the cognitive abilities of the child is based on the environment, the other kids that are around that the child actually is able to get along together, especially in everyday reality. The school is just some number of hours and they finish and they come back home. The children spend more at home than at school. And so the point is, if Krishna came with his brothers and sisters, Ram came with his brothers, what do we learn from this? Sometimes, we read the stories over and over again, and, normally, on Ram's appearance day, we give some, narratives about, Lord Ram's appearance, his activity. We have been hearing that for so many years. That is why I choose to bring in this very simple point that relate to our everyday reality. Now, this should give us a lesson. I guess also just one or two examples about the dangers of having only one child. And why the Lord, whenever he's appearing, he always chooses to come in the company of his other expansions. Because, it takes two to jolly. No matter how opulent you are. If you say, well, I'm just alone and I'm happy, it's a lie. You can't be happy alone. If you are happy, then when you have some associates, then you become happier. Because, you know, variety is the spice of enjoyment. And therefore, the children that we are grooming, we should also think about their social, we should not only think about their academic development, their spiritual development, we should also think about their social and cognitive developments. And if we want our children to be reputed in society for what we should be proud of, we should try to build, of course. Unfortunately, majority of parents don't have any iota of information about child psychology or child development. And therefore people choose, you know, I know people who have a lot of money, even medical doctors, and they have only one child. He hasn't the reason, there's no reason. There's no reason. The point is, people are blinded to the scriptures. We don't seem to learn anything from the scriptures. Therefore, we should be able to understand that there is a gain in trying to interpret by a higher transcendental culture the meanings of the Lord's appearances and his particular associate, why he has to come with different people to be able to perform different activities. And especially in the case of Lord Ramachandra, here we know how his consort is another thing that has to do with the family. His consort, Sita Ram, even when Ram was bound to the forest, she said, I must go with you. Now that is a great lesson for us, especially for those who are married. When your spouse is having a challenge, do you abandon your spouse? Whether man or woman, do you abandon your spouse because he or she is facing some challenges? Again, the case of Sita Ram should give us a lesson. Ram said, no. You are not too sweet, you are just too soft. Stay at home. How come? She said, no way. I must come with you. If you're dying, I must die with you. This is what love. L-O-V-E. This is love. We talk about love in this world, but, you know, in most cases what we find is a perverted reflection of real love. Love has nothing to do with conditionalities. That's why people sometimes they become blinded by love. And you know, sometimes also people misinterpret love. And it's something else they are really after, but they don't tend to think it's love. Love has no conditions. But love is divine. It comes from the heart, from the soul platform, not based on the body. I mean, sometimes, you know, I like, you know, teach my students really bad stuff, especially the girls. I tell them, look, anytime any boy comes to tell you that I love you, just sit him down and say, you tell me, if you say you love me, tell me, who am I? You love this body? You love the beauty? Or what is it that you love? Do you know who? I mean, do you know even my Pastime identity? So people even profess to love someone, but it's all affection for the ephemeral physical body. And if that body is waning, they jump on another person. And we have seen this. This is one of the causes of divorce. So in the case of Lord Ramachandra and Sita, we can see that although Ram was facing serious challenges, and Ram even restrained her from going into the forest with her to, you know, to encounter all those encumbrances. She said, that is the real, you know, when people getting married, they, you know, they say certain things like, you know, for better or for worse, correct? Yeah, That is the real, for better or for worse. So, the pastimes of the Lord, they are full of relishment. And it is not only about, trying to relish these pastimes, understand these pastimes, absorb yourself in the pastimes, so that you become purified. That is one thing. But it's not just only about that. It also gives us a clue about the bigger picture. In management science, we call it systems thinking. You see, if this finger is affected, so for instance, if I have a whitlow on this finger, my whole body is literally diseased. You may say it's just your pinky. You won't sleep in the night. Your whole body suffers. And so if we don't have the bigger picture in our deliberations, if we're just thinking about now and here, then we're missing the point. Because sometimes the challenges that the people who are close to us are facing might be just ways of testing our faith, whether we really love that person or not. And sometimes you find that, the person can't, he or she doesn't really have, that type of deep love for the person, and, the relationship is severe. And then, the next moment you see, that person who is supposedly, or who was supposedly in a distress moment, he or she springs up, and becomes very vibrant, and excels like anything. And sometimes, the person who abandoned, just a person comes back to say, but you remember? And sometimes it's too late. Therefore, when we are trying to relate with people, we should go beyond the physical world. We should really, if even we don't have the realization, at least with knowledge. I mean, sometimes I hear people say, well, that I don't have the realization. I even, to chant Hare Krishna, sometimes I have a number of people, they say, well, I don't have the taste for chanting, so I don't chant. I've seen this, a number of young people in a movement, born in a movement. They say they don't chant because they don't have the taste. But, my question is, for instance, if you are going to school, or you have a job, do you have taste for going to school? When I was a child, I was forced to go to school. I hated to go to school. In fact, my first year of going to school, they will get, my dad will, initiate my teacher to get the other students to come and take me from home. I hated to go to school. I like to just, remain at home and, enjoy being, being a pet at home. And that's literally what happens with every child. Tell me, which child wants to go to school? Or which person loves job, work? Suppose you can just stay at home and earn salary. Will you go to work? Nobody would like to do all these things because that's not our nature. Our nature is enjoyment. Therefore, nobody likes to go to school because school is a rigorous program of studies. You crack your brain, you don't sleep in the night. It's all, you become like a security guard. Reading, and, all absorption is all about reading. I remember I was a boy and 16 years old girl, she told the mom that, Mom, you're so lucky. You just sit down at home. I don't want to go to school. I just want to sit down at home like you. So, children, they don't want to go to school. But why are they motivated by parents and, their superiors to go to school? Because of their future. Why people stick to their jobs? They don't like to work, but they go to work because they have to earn a salary to build a strong financial position. In a similar way, we may not have taste for devotional life. We may not have taste for chanting, but at least literally, theoretically speaking, we understand that deep chanting is purifying us. We may not feel the effects right now. Or at least we know that when we build up our chanting and accumulate so much merit in our chanting, our future is very bright. We could be candidates. We could be candidates to be able to go back home, back to God. So it may be very bitter in the beginning to perform spiritual life. And nobody likes it. I remember when we joined the movement, we go to bed at 9 o'clock. They will ring a bell in the ashram, in the temple. Everybody goes to bed. And at 3 o'clock, they ring a bell. Everybody gets up. Go take a shower, start your chanting. Everybody goes to the temple room by 4 o'clock to start chanting. So, who likes to wake up at that time? That is the time that sleep is sweetest. So to say. So the point is that there are many things that we may not want to do, but because we have higher understanding, we do those things for the purpose of creating a viable future. So even in spiritual culture, there are so many things we are told in the beginning that we should avoid. But spiritual life is not about avoidance. It is actually supposed to be susukam avyaya, inexhaustible bliss, inexhaustible enjoyment in spiritual life. We may not be on that level right now, but we should have that theoretical understanding that when we become engaged, especially beginning with the chanting of Krishna's holy names, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. We could even be eligible candidates to be part of the Lord's retinue. If the Lord is coming in any form of incarnation, and we could be part of his team. It's called roadshow. You could be part of that. Yeah, but it looks like a joke. You just carry some beads. I call that, planning and ambidexterity. Someone was asking me on Facebook, Maharaj, could you explain further what you mean by, how planning, scenario planning and ambidexterity will help in chanting? I just break it down. I said, look, you want to chant Krishna's holy names, but you have to plan. This is the time I want to wake up. This is the time I want to chant. And ambidexterity, you have your beads. Your finger touches the beads. There are several things you are doing automatic, at that time. One chanting of Hare Krishna, there are several things you are doing. Your finger is working. Your sense of texture is working. Your tongue is vibrating the holy name. Your ear, sense of hearing, is also at work. Now your mind has to be focused. So there are several senses that are involved in one therapy. When you have several of your sensory modalities involved in doing something at the same time, that is ambidexterity. So the guy said, wow. I said, the simple things we are doing is just that. Because one funny thing with me is because of my discipline in management science, so all of the things that, we are talking about in the Vedic literature, they have to, all these things are explored in the management sciences. And so it's just the terminology, but the things we are doing is the same thing. So when you say something somewhere, that's, people ask you, Maharaj, what do you mean by that? Just because I don't say chant Hare Krishna or I use some other terminologies, but, it's the same thing. The purpose is to be able to pass a message to someone according to the level of that person. And so there are so many things we can learn from Lord Ramachandra's pastime. Another thing is forgiveness. Forgiveness, another quiz, another petty quiz. Who is the stepmother of Ram who initiated for his ban?
Okay.
Now, if it is myself and you, okay, let me say, if it is myself, you may be very pure, so you may be very, liberal. But for any conditioned soul, You want to become the president of America. You won elections. And some military guys comes to, quit you, take over your position. And then you just run away from the country. Because if you stay there, you could be annihilated. And then later, you find your way back, everything has been resolved, no problem. And now you have to be the president. Come and take over your position. And then you come. And the first person that you ask is that person who came to chase you away about how well he's doing, how's his health, how's his family. That's exactly what Ramachandra did. The first person, when he came back to Ayodhya, the first person he was making inquiries about his wealth, about how welfare was Keke. From Bharat. How is she doing? And that is a shock. Now, what do we learn from that? Forgiveness. Why do we even need to forgive people? Because when we forgive people, we are doing more justice to our own life than even the so-called person we are forgiving. How is that? When we nurse grudges against someone for perceived offense, it's like we are carrying a charcoal. You know charcoal? It's like we're carrying a bucket of hot charcoal on our heads. And what happened traditionally is that the world is a world of energy exchanges. What you're thinking about is what you build on. I mean, it's like you have some trouble. You have some minor trouble, some minor ailment. It is not the ailment that really matters. It's how you think about it. It might be just ordinary headache, but all your meditation is now, oh, my headache. Oh, my headache. You even forget to take any medication. Then you're simply increasing the problem. But if you even just, put that behind and you engage in other things, it's the mind. The mind don't, bring you to that. Very soon you forget, and very soon the headache goes away. Or you are able to just take the little medication you have without having to worry so much. You engage in that thing, you will not know how soon, how fast that headache goes away. But if you simply dwell your contemplation, it just on the pain, the little pain you have, the pain keeps increasing. That is how grudges develop to, big issues. And from big issues, it develops into big problems. From big problems, it develops into crisis. And therefore, you find that people who are nursing grudges, if even they are suffering from some ailment, some disease, they don't get cured easily. Because there are so many negative things in their heart. And that's not helping them to move. Therefore, we understand, even from the study of psychology, the negative impact of nursing grudges or not being forgiven. Sometimes we think that forgiveness is just a theological or a teleological principle or a teleological concept. We deal like this to me. No, I can't really forget that. What he did to me. And sometimes even people come to beg, please forgive me. Get out of here. And what literally you're doing is it's like someone comes to beg you after offending you and you say, get out from here. And it's like the person has come to tell, oh please, can I help you to put down your load? He said, don't worry, I enjoyed it. Why does Krishna even emphasize this concept of forgiveness in Gita? This is the fundamental psychological principle underlying the concept of forgiveness. Therefore, if we forgive someone, we are allowing ourselves to move on, not just on the road, but on the fast lane. And when you're moving on the fast lane, you're going according to the normal speed of the fast lane. Therefore, you don't get someone, by you who calls the police. This guy is on the fast lane, but he's not moving fast. Then the police comes by it. So, Lord Ram, a typical case of his exemplary standard in interpersonal relationship, in community building, is that principle of forgiveness. Because if you have to deal with people, for instance, you are a leader, you have to deal with people, you have to be forgiving. If someone does something, instead of you to simply know that in mind, you could call the person privately, let the person know this thing, if you can't really deal with it. Call the person, let him know or her know that this thing you did, it hurts me, I don't know why you did it, maybe you have some explanation for it. And if I do something wrong, let me know so that, I will plead with you so that we can move on. But if we're not grudges, we are simply killing ourselves. So Lord Ramachandra exemplified in his own life that even the worst offender could be forgiven. KK didn't come to beg even for forgiveness. Out of his own causeless mercy, he just, Why? This is mercifulness. So we have to be merciful, following the example of Lord Ramachandra. Another thing I want to quickly share with us about Lord Ramachandra is his insight in leadership. In the Ramayana, there was an incident where one day they were in a court. He has a body of jury, and so amongst them was Lakshman. So he told Lakshman, go to the gate and find out if there's anyone with a complaint. So Lakshman went to the main gate, and then Lakshman, he came back and said, nobody's there with any complaint. So Ram said, go back again and check. Lakshman went, and he came back and said, nobody's there, but it's just one dog. He has some injury on his head. He said, go bring the dog. A dog. A dog, D-O-G, not God. And when the dog was brought in, Lord Ram asked, yes, what is the problem? And the dog explained. The question you asked me is to mean that, dog was communicating in the language that Lord Ram and his members of the jury could understand. Yes. If God created, all of the languages, and then he created also the dog, and if Lord Ramachandra is the supreme person of God, they say, why not? So they asked the dog, what is the problem? What's the complaint? He said, some Brahmin injured me. I was sitting on the road, and he kicked me in the head and injured me. Okay, go and bring the Brahmin. The Brahmin should show by example. The Brahmin should not be violent. What must have prompt him to inflict this corporal punishment on you? And when you injure someone, it's called a legal term, that is assault occasioning harm. So they called the Brahmin, and the Brahmin, of course, he was open, he was truthful. He said, yes, I kicked him in the head because when I was coming, he was sitting on the road and he didn't create a chance for me to pass. That's why I kicked him. I said, okay, very good. So, in a nutshell, they found the Brahmin guilty for assault, occasioning harm. So, on the dog. But what we have again in the jury, they said there is one thing. After concluding the case, there's what we call alocutus. What's the last thing that you have to say? We'll find you guilty. But Lord Ram did not ask the Brahmin any alocutus. He referred to the dog. He asked the dog. So yes, this Brahmin is found guilty by our court. What is the best punishment to give to this Brahmin? Tell us. We want to satisfy you. Tell us. So the dog said, I want this Brahmin, if you allow me to give my own opinion, I want him to be the president of such and such a monastery. Give him a position. he should be the president of a monastery. In other words, he should be a leader of society. So everybody just wanted to laugh except for Lord Ramachandra. They were thinking, come on, what is this? Someone committed a crime, assault or questioning harm, and here Mr. Dog is recommending that the person should be promoted instead of being penalized. So they asked him, can you give cogent reasons why you're making this recommendation? And then he said, you know why I'm a dog now? In my previous life, I was the president of a monastery. And because people who I was overseeing, they committed sinful activities. And I have to imbibe a portion of each of their sinful reactions. And that weighed me down to the position of being a dog in this lifetime. So this Brahmin, he is claiming to be very intelligent, very powerful. Let him also go and try. Let him go and be the president of a monastery. Let us see his next life. So that explains the principle of requital, epistemology. In physics, it's called. In physics, Newton's second law of motion stipulates that every action has an equal and opposite reaction. So whatever we do in this world, we get feedback. And so Lord Ramachandra, having come to teach, or having appeared to be able to teach the principles of leadership. And leadership these days is so complex. There are classical leadership theories, there are contemporary leadership theories. But, you know, in all of whether it's classical or contemporary leadership theories, people are floored in leadership like anything. The top shots in our societies, you know, they're losing their jobs in their leadership positions. And that is because they don't have any spiritual principles guiding their lives. And I can give you vivid examples. The very last director, the former director of International Military Fund, Strauss-Kahn, he was put to jail right here in India. For what? He had a beautiful wife. He had plenty of money. The director for International Monetary Fund, he ran after a hotel housemaid. That's how he got sacked. And we know also the case of Elliot Spitzer, the past governor of New York State. What about Bill Clinton? And so, one may say, well, I'm not interested in spiritual life. Hold it. You're not interested. Maybe you don't know what spiritual life is. Then you say you're not interested. Spiritual life is not about, you know, imposing rules and regulations for people and to restrict people from doing, you know, their social function. But it is about developing ourselves to be able to become aware of the simple fact that we are not these physical manifestations. We are not just our emotions. And there is a need for us to become actual controllers of our own emotions. Otherwise, we could be victims of the worst order in this very life. And we have seen practically in society. Therefore, people who are prone to anger, this is the result. The Brahmin, he had his own case to deal with. And the result was that, you know, he was penalized. And several cases in Vedic history, we see people who couldn't control their anger. They do some, you know, bizarre things. And even our everyday reality. I remember during the Obama presidential campaign, one of his political advisor, I can't remember the lady, but you know, she was a professor from Harvard. She lost her job as a political advisor based on the fact that she couldn't contain her anger. She vituperated Obama's competitor. And that's how, you know, the other party, I mean, the members of her party just, you know, they raised the alarm that, you know, this woman should be fired. and she was sacramental. So the point is, if we don't even want to go back to Godhead based on spiritual development, we need spiritual development to be able to sustain even our social positions and to be able to create a viable future in our lives. So today is very important for us because of the appearance of Lord Ramachandra, who has come into this world to teach how to be able to create a viable future. And we as parents, as teachers, and as spiritual mentors, we are all leaders of society. And therefore, even as potential parents, we are leaders. We should be aware that we have a responsibility to our communities. Just like Lord Ramachandra saw to the needs of his community, very perfectly aware, by taking care of seeing to the needs of the citizenry or those around him. We are also having a responsibility of being responsible for our children, being responsible for our families. And of course, those of us who are community leaders, we are also responsible for our communities. Therefore, it is essential that we build a strong spiritual nucleus so that we can stand the test of time, which is rooted in so many temptations on this planet. So maybe there are some comments or some questions at this point. Hare Krishna. Yes. And if you want to ask a question, please kindly tell us your name, because just like you know my name now, I don't want to be an impersonalist. So at least I'm not asking for everyone to introduce himself, but that would take time. But traditionally, ice breaking, that is how it's supposed to be. When people are many, we don't want to impose that. Please kindly let us know your name. And then you ask the question.
Thank you for being with us. I'm Geeta Dasi from Clearwater. I'm a doctor there. And my question is, I have a friend, a very dear friend, who used to come to meetings to Bhakti Vriksha, like maybe Alachua and places like that. And then there were some incidents where it wasn't exactly very encouraging for him. He was in transition for spiritual practice. But anyways, he went to the monastery. You mentioned earlier, monastery. He stayed there for a little bit and got lectures every single day by priests. So, that kind of can deviate the mind from Krishna conscious. So now he's kind of in a very interesting transition. How would I encourage him, or how would he's kind of like going back and forth a little bit about, Jesus Christ, he's the only way to get to heaven. And me, still learning so much, I'm very careful not to say anything, because sometimes when I say something, he will have something ever ready to say. So what would be your first step suggestion, maybe, or a couple of steps, how I can
help that person?
Pardon?
How you can help that person?
Yes.
Yeah, it's a very simple procedure. And this is how you deal with such people. You see, people who are coming from different religious traditions, or who have some information from different religious traditions, you have to be also an adept in that field. Then, you can relate with their needs. Because if you don't know their scripture, it will be very difficult to help them. And therefore, in such cases, we recommend that you let him, get in touch with someone who has some, good information of his religious tradition, like the Christian tradition. And of course, I'm coming from a Christian background, and you can, if possible, I'm available. You can let him, email me or contact me on Facebook, and let's discuss as friends. And also, such people, you don't impose your ideas on them.
Right.
And he just like what I do with most of my professor friends is that, we're just friends, okay? And as time, goes, they come to realize, certain things that, they are forced to make some deeper inquiries. And these are people from different religious traditions. And so, yeah, such people, you don't argue back and forth with them because it will result to, more complications. So you let them have such people. The only way to help them is to be friendly, to be caring, and if you have a means of making nice prasadam, give them make prasadam and give it to them, because you can never tell what Krishna has in store for each and every one. And if they are favorable, if they are just even taking prasadam, Krishna will do the preaching. And if you are not feeling very much even secured with that, if you want some quick action, you can let him contact someone who has some Christian or biblical background, who can have some rapport with him, be friendly with him, and they can discuss on a one-to-one basis how to be able to move on, or to how to help him. Yeah. Traditionally, when friends, close friends, or even family members, like I remember someone was telling me, that his parents are not cooperating in his spiritual pursuit, and therefore he wants to simply, abandon the whole idea of even looking after them or care or even going to them. I said no, because what is that? Just because you're a devotee for some number of years, and now you're thinking, your parents are not devotees and so you should abandon them. I said no, it doesn't work in that way. I can give you a practical example of myself. I see. When I became a priest, I stayed away. I didn't have any communication with parents and family members for 16 years, 1-6. So a girl born 16 years could be having kids now. Okay, so 16 years. And then, why I did that? Because I know that I have a weakness of, affection for family members. And especially if they tell me something, I may not be able to resist. So I wanted to build a strong spiritual foundation before I encountered them. And that's exactly how Krishna nursed my aspirations. And I remember the first time I went with some devotees to see my parents. My dad was behaving as if he's, like my student. I gave him Bhagavad Gita, I gave him so many other Prabhupada's books, and he was so thankful. He was almost like paying obeisances, he told me, this is like a dream. Is it you? Because he thought he has lost me completely, okay? So people like that if you try to help people in an immature stage, you get yourself too much entangled. And so in this type of situation, don't get worried. If you can help, at least make sure you're doing some prasadam for this fellow. If possible, every day, if you can do that, prasadam.
He loves prasadam.
Just give him prasadam. Just give him prasadam. Prepare nice prasadam and just give it to him. Prasadam does a wonderful preaching himself. And get him exposed to some of the devotees. If you want, I can give you my email, and I can give my email and my phone number. You can get in touch with me. Because I know, as I travel around, preaching, sometimes I go to places, and I remember I was at Oregon, and one devotee, he just, because he got to understand that, I was born in Nigeria, he said, oh, he has one Nigerian friend. Give me an email and your phone number. I tell him to contact you. He said he's a staunch Christian, okay? He to discuss with him that, he doesn't buy anything that he says. And so that's how things work. Sometimes people, we are very close. It is difficult for them to accept what you're saying. And in like my case, I didn't even preach to my dad. It's some other devotees who preached to him. One of my friends, two of my friends, they used to visit my parents. And so one time, the other guy sent a message to me that, they've given beach to my dad, and he started chanting. But if I try to do anything with him, he would just look at me like, this is my boy. Yeah. So sometimes relationships, when they're very close, people tend to minimize each other's good advice. So you can let him get in touch with me. Okay. Any other comments? Otherwise, we'll go to Prasadam Seva. Yes. Yes.
So who are the 4 expansions? I mean, like the other 3.
Huh?
The brothers.
Quadruple? You mean the quadruple? Yeah, this is the ones you have mentioned. Ram himself.
No, but I mean, like, who are they descending as? Like,
Huh?
they're descending as, I know who they're descending as, but who are, like you know, Balaramji is, well, Balaramji is Balaramji. But
Okay, we have, from Balaram, we have first quadruple expansion.
Okay.
So you will work out those quadruple expansion, and you know they are all in the computer rollout.
Oh, okay, fine. So they're right from there. Okay. Okay, got it.
My name is Sudhir. What is the easiest way to control anger sometimes?
Or to control anger, it's very simple. Let me give you from the Vedic perspective. Okay. Now one time, Lord Krishna and Balaram with somebody of his friend, they were traveling. You know, they were going for some trip, and so night took them somewhere, so they decided to sleep at some place. And then the first person that was supposed to be on guard, as they were sleeping, the three of them, so one person, each person has a number of hours to watch the other people sleeping. So then the first person, I can't remember the other friend who was traveling with them. Anyway, I used to give this story, and it elaborates anger and how to deal with anger. So there was a Rakshasa who came, and this Rakshasa, you know, he came to tell him that, you know, let me eat your friends. I mean Rakshasa, let me eat your friends, and I will free you. I'll save your life. So he just became angry, and then he challenged the Rakshasa for a fight. And then, as they were fighting, he became more angry. You know, and then as he was becoming more angry, the Rakshasa was developing in height and size until he couldn't even see his face anymore. So then, you know, his time was due for him to go to sleep. Then Balaram has to come to change. And you know, as Balaram was preparing to come, you know, Rakshasa already had left. And when Balaram started taking charge of the guard, the Rakshasa again came. And the same thing he told Balaram that, look, I'm a Rakshasa. Let me eat your friends, and I'll save your life. Otherwise, I'll eat all of you. Balaram also was angry, and, you know, it resulted to a fight. And as the more Balaram was angry, this Rakshasa was increasing in size. Huge, tall, and until he went to the sky, he couldn't even see him. Balaram himself became fatigued. It was Krishna's turn to come to take over. When Krishna also came to take over as the god, this same Rakshasa came and, you know, spoke to Krishna. He told Krishna, look, I'm a Rakshasa. I'm a man-eater. I'll eat all of you, or if you allow me to eat your friends, and I'll save your life. And Krishna just burst into laughter. Krishna laughed protractedly, okay? Krishna, as he was laughing, or Krishna was laughing, this Rakshasa was reducing in size. Huh? You know, Krishna just protractedly was laughing. He laughed. This Rakshasa was decreasing in size until it became like a small, sweet ball. So Krishna put it inside his pocket. And then the following morning, everybody was complaining about the Rakshasa. And so Krishna was just smiling. And then, you know, Balaram and the other person, his name keeps trying to come, but I keep forgetting. Balaram and the other of the friend, you know, always saying, come on, this is a serious issue, and you're laughing? You mean you did not encounter this guy? And Krishna was just still laughing, and then he brought out this guy from his pocket and said, you mean this Rakshasa? And so Krishna explained to them, elaborated to them, that this Rakshasa, the so-called Rakshasa, is anger personified. And now, the only way to subdue anger is through laughter therapy. If someone comes to agitate you, give the person love. Look, this is how you can visualize and think about the whole situation. You see, some people when they're angry with you, it's a call for love. I remember, someone was very offensive towards me one time. And then later the person came to apologize. And then, surprisingly, I mentioned that. But, I didn't see any offense. That was a call for love. The person was very surprised, So the point is, if we fall down to the level of the person who is agitating us, then we don't achieve anything. If someone comes with anger, to create some confusion, we should give that person love. What literally people want is that they're looking for love, but they come in different ways. Sometimes they come in agitated way to just punch you here and there. So that basically is what Krishna explained, that if someone comes to disturb us, we should show that person love, and that so-called person's anger, he'll be pulverized. Like you have a puri. A puri, when you put a puri in hot oil on the fire, it swears. When you bring out the puri, it becomes flat. Huh? Or even sometimes you have iron. There are some instruments or there are some chemical processes that you can subject iron to, that the iron will become pulverized. But love is even more powerful than all of these type of chemicals or any of these processes. You can really change a person with love, even if it comes angry to attack you. I'll give you another gross example. I remember when I was managing a temple in Africa, someone came to me and he said, because we had we had guest apartments, guest rooms. So normally international guests used to come there. One person, he said, he came, it was a devotee, okay, in the temple. A senior, one of my seniors. He came that, Vasudev, devotees are complaining that you are aware that some of the guests who come to this temple are drug peddlers. And because they give money to the temple, you allow them to stay in the temple. And at that time, in that country, drug peddling, even aiding and abetting drugs, is death sentence. Death sentence. And so imagine, someone comes to tell you, you are a criminal. That will amount to death sentence. And what did I do? Sometimes I really used to be crazy. So I told him, so is that all you know about me? I do worse things than that. I even kill people. You don't know? He was baffled. He stood spellbound for over 3 minutes. Couldn't say anything. So later he just left the office. And that was the end. Today we are very close friends. He has any problems anywhere I may be, he calls me. So the point is, if people come to us for a fight, we don't have to, resonate with them, come down to their level. Because anger is born of, unaccomplished desires. And if people come to us angry, we have to be able to, give them a feedback, and that feedback to the Lord. And then that calms them down. But if we react, in other words, we have to be proactive. If we are reactive, it simply, inflames the fire. And it may result, there are little things that could even result to the Supreme Court. Just telling someone, oh, I'm sorry. People find it very difficult to do that. So, yeah, anger is one area that Krishna, taught us that we should use laughter therapy in dealing with anger. Yes.
Actually, we usually say the Prashadam prayer. Can we say it?
Yes, but you already eaten.
Well, yeah.
Okay, so say it.
Should we say it or not? Okay.
No, you say it.
Okay. Mahaprasade Govinde. Mahaprasade Govinde. Nam Brahmane Vishnave. Namo Brahmane Vishnave. Kalpapanya Vitamrajan. Kalpapanya Vitamrajan. Lapsano Vajayate. Kariya Vidyachar. Kariya Vidyachar. Vyatendriya Tahika. Vyatendriya Tahika. Vivekalaya Vishayakajale. Vivekalaya Vishayakajale. Karyamati Jyayate. Karamati Jyayate. Lokamaya Sudharmate. Lokamaya Sudharmate. Dake Jeta Kajina Samsare. Dake Jeta Kajina Samsare. Krishna Baladoyamoy. Krishna Baladoyamoy. Tori Bharati Hajoy. Tori Bharati Hajoy. Sastha Sadhana Tilopai. Sastha Sadhana Tilopai. Teyanam Ritapao. Teyanam Ritapao. Radha Krishna Gunagao. Radha Krishna Gunagao. Vimedaka Chaitanya Nitai. Vimedaka Chaitanya Nitai. Jainimai Jainitai. Jainimai Jainitai. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya. Prabhu Nityananda. Prabhu Nityananda. Shri Advaita Gadadhar. Shri Advaita Gadadhar. Srivasadi Gaura Bhaktavrinda. Srivasadi Gaura Bhaktavrinda. Hare Krishna Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna Hare Krishna. Krishna Krishna Hare Hare. Krishna Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Rama Hare Rama. Hare Rama Hare Rama. Rama Rama Hare Hare. Rama Rama Hare Hare. Shri Sitaram Lakshman Hanuman Mahamrajal Ki Jai. Sorry, Mom.
No, it's all right.
Okay.
You have some comments or questions? Yes.
Yes, Maharaj. Quite often.
Can you come close so that I can hear?
Okay. Quite often, a lot of us are very busy with, our work and a lot of things that we have to do. And so, how do we find time to engage in spiritual life?
Oh, that's a good question. He's asking that, we are very busy with work. And not only work, some of us, we have families, so it's like we're having 2 jobs. We have to go to work, we have to maintain our families, it's like 2 jobs. So, question of spiritual life also. I mean, how do we find time to do this? So it's a simple thing. And normally, I go down, I give seminars on effective time management for sustainable Krishna consciousness. It's a matter of integrating our obligations with our spiritual life. And the primary thing is that you do what we call self-organization. You have to be able to organize yourself. In other words, you have to map out the schedule for yourself, know how many hours you have to work in a day. And if you're working, for instance, for 8 hours, how many hours are left out of the 24 hours? And then you ask yourself, how many hours do you sleep out of the 24 hours? And you find that you still have, many more hours. For instance, how many hours do you sleep out of 24 hours?
About 5.
About 5 hours. 5 hours might be too rigorous, might be too, strenuous for some people. Let's say, Manaji, how many hours do you sleep out of 24 hours? 6 to 8. Okay, 6 to 8. Okay, let's say 8 plus 5, 30. And you, how many hours do you sleep out of 24 hours? Huh?
Maybe also
6. Okay. So let's say an average of 6 or 7 hours people sleep. Okay. So then you have 8 hours of work. How many hours left? 8 plus 7 is 15. Minus 20. Okay. 9 hours. Okay. Let's say you have to give some quality time to your family.
0.
Quality time to your family.
Negative 3.
See, I said the point is, sometimes we complain that we are very busy with work, but there is so much of time that is wasted. First, because we don't plan our day. We don't have any self-organization. We don't budget our time. We don't prioritize. And so all of these things are there. And that makes life very easy going. If we put all of these things together, if we organize ourselves, if we make a schedule, if we set priorities, and we budget our time. I mean, it's like if you are passing through the mall and you see something fanciful, you get a chance to read, then you buy it. And you see this one, you buy. And then this you buy. What type of human being are you? You end up, squandering your money unnecessarily because you regret about the things you bought because they are not necessary. So we have to do a budget every month. That's how people survive. So also our 24 hours, we have to properly budget our 24 hours. We have to set aside our time for work, our time for sleep, our time for recreation, our time for giving quality time to our family. Sometimes people say they are busy working and they don't give quality time to their spouse and children. Correct? Like, Prabhu mentioned -3 or 0. But it shouldn't be the case because why you have a spouse? Why? If you want to live alone, why don't you live alone? You have a spouse means a man or a woman who is in your company is not just after your money. But you should give the person quality time. Even children, they need quality time. Even children, they need quality time. I was just telling some devotees yesterday about, 5 years old boy in India. We went for a conference in India, and one professor was reporting a research project he was running. And then he said, there was this boy, and 5 years old boy, he asked his mom, "Mommy, how much are you earning in an hour?" And so, an Indian lady, professional, a small boy, little boy, 5 years old son is coming to ask her, what happened? She just ignored him. She didn't, behave as if a fly just passed by. So the boy came again. He said, "Mommy, I'm your son. How much are you being paid for an hour?" The mother ignored him again. And then he came again pressing. So the mom said, "This is the amount I'm going to pay. What do you want to do?" He went to his room. And little children, people give them money, parents give them money. So he has his own room. He put all of the money that people have been giving him under his pillow. So he came back to the mother with exactly that amount that the mom said she's been paid for an hour. And he gave the money to the mom. The mom said, "What is it?" He said, "Give me an hour, give me an hour, give me an hour." This is not Purana, it just happened recently. Just recently. And I'll give you another story why we need to give quality time to our family. In India, I have some friend. She's a professor, management professor. And she wanted me to come to their home. So I went there and her little child, when the little boy saw me, he became very much enamored to me. We became good friends. Therefore, even the day they occupied the duplex, as I was sleeping upstairs, and herself, husband and the child, normally they were sleeping downstairs, the first floor. The boy would go upstairs to sleep with me, and the servant who came from the temple to serve. And so the father was even very much, scared that what's going on? This boy he never met him before, and this is like the first time. So he became very much attached to me. But that time I was in your home, the father's attention and the mother's attention was all on me to serve. So the boy was not getting the attention that he normally would have. from the parents. Although he liked me and we were always together. So the day I was to leave upon a particular day, I told him that, I'm leaving today. And you know what he did? He went to meet the father and said, my dad is going today. So, are you going to give me attention or not?
Oh my God.
This is not Purana. It's not just few years ago on this planet. So the point is, do our children need our quality time? Yes. What about our spouse? They also need our quality time. And so if we manage our time properly, we could be creating a very loving environment in the family, and that will also affect us positively in our everyday reality. Because imagine when you have a home and your child is not happy with you because you're not giving him attention. Your wife is not happy with you, or if you're a professional woman, your husband is not happy with you because you're not giving her attention, or giving him attention. And then people at home are not happy with you. You go out with that energy, you are not going to be happy either. Therefore, sometimes, the whole of our daily activities could be confused, could be, full of, commotion, because the very nucleus of our home, we don't consolidate it. All in the name of, the fact that, we are busy. But there is so much of time we waste, we cannot account for everything. Krishna only wants, for those who are really aspiring to be initiated, Krishna only wants 2 hours from us out of the 24 hours. So 15 hours minus 24, there's so many hours left. So if you remember only 2 hours from that, there's still so much time left for you for your recreation and for whatever you want to do. And therefore, the point that, because I'm working, I don't have time for spiritual life. We have nullified this point in all of our, our time management seminars, because we just break down, the whole 24 hours, and we find that we can't really account for much of the time of the day. Therefore, just 2 hours to give to spiritual development, that's not something too big, because Krishna gives us 24 hours, and we are not paying any rent for it. We're not paying no bills. And so we should just return some time to him for quality association. And it's just not difficult, just to, find time and then chant Krishna's holy names. And you're becoming spiritualized, you're becoming, a partner in your spiritual cultivation. In this age of Kali, it's not required that you even change your position. Be wherever you may be, but simply inculcate spiritual, devotional culture. And it's simple, even the devotional culture is simple, just to chant Krishna's name. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare. And life goes on, beautiful. So all of us, we have the time. No one should say, no, I don't have the time. We have to take, we have to make it a priority. That's important. And that context, yes.
It seems to me like a sociological trend that when people are insecure, they tend to try to spread their emotional bolstering they get from a lot of people, instead of coming to the family and the spouse and the children, that intimate circle. And I just wondered if you could comment on that. Or
yeah, that, you see, the point is, now, if people really love each other and they care for each other, mistakes are bound to be there, even in relationships. Even in parent-child relationships. Look, I remember even as a child, I disagree with my father in some things. Okay? Even as a child. Or even as a teenager. Okay? I disagree with him in some things. But, we still, parent-child. It's not that I'm going to agree with Even my mother, I disagree with her on certain things, even as a teenager. And she knew that, this boy, she did buy my idea in this matter. And she wouldn't force her ideas on me. So the point is, we are independent living entities. And if even we come together, even as friends, I have a problem with my friends because, when we were little kids, the friends, we were three moving together. And they always thought that, because we are close friends, if even they do something wrong, we will team up. And then, say, oh, come on, what did our friend do to you? Come on, you're nonsense. No, but I don't used to subscribe to that. Therefore, they see me as a strange boy. They do something wrong, I'll be the first person to tell them, man, this is not good. So, even in our relationship, we have to develop a very cordial, loving attitude. And love also implies that if I do something that you don't like, that disturbs you, you call me privately and you tell me that this and this you did the other day. I didn't understand why you did that. Maybe you have a reason for doing that. But I felt hurt. And if the person is reasonable, the person should be able to be apologetic. The person should say, I am sorry. But, because people don't cultivate spiritual life, it is difficult to even tell your spouse, I am sorry. You say, I am always right. Who are you to say anything? You just follow. But you see, even little children, they want shared decision making. I remember some two young devotees, the girl, she has graduated, the boy has also graduated, they want to get married. And so I was having a chat with her one day, and then, something came up. I mentioned that, that, you have to follow your husband's footsteps. Then, she snapped and said, Maharaj, I want shared decision making, not the question of following. These are young people, young people, okay? She said, I want shared decision making, not the question of following, But, you see, sometimes we think that, we can do the old things and find a new solution, a new result. But we can't keep doing the same old things and expect, some new solutions. And therefore, we should be adjustable. And people sometimes become too maladjusted. It's like a lady, she's from the Caribbean. She got married here, gave birth to a child, and she abused the child. And so the child, when he came to a particular age, the child was recollecting the way the mother treated him. And so he he was 17, he blocked the mother, not connecting now on the phone and all that. And then she came to me crying and all this other thing. I said, what did you do? He said, Maharaj, I am from the Caribbean. And so we in our culture, if a child does something, you spank the child. I said, listen, this is America. You're not in the Caribbean. I said, go and beg that boy. So the point is, when people are maladjusted, it could be a problem. If you think, this is how I used to do, and then you bring that to America here, you run into trouble. Or this is how we used to do in the Satya Yuga, and you bring that in Kali Yoga, you run into trouble. Therefore, it is important for us to understand the laws of the land, the circumstances we are dealing with, and be practical. We have to be very pragmatic about the social needs of the person, the spiritual needs of the person, and economic needs of the person we are dealing with. It's not that, if someone is having a headache, then you tell him, go and chant Hare Krishna. It doesn't work like that. You simply, freak the person out. So we have to be practical about what we are dealing with, so that people don't think that, we don't care for them. So even in our relationship, we have to be down to earth. We have to listen to people's I mean, to people when they are in distress. It's not only when they are in joy that we share the joy. When they are in distress, also we should listen to them. We should share their distress. That is love. And when people see that, if they are passing through challenges and we are there for them, then they will see you as someone who really cares. And therefore, the question of, you know, this person, I don't really want to resonate with his or ideas. It doesn't do that, because if someone loves you, you will presume that whatever the person says is for your own good. That if that conviction is not there in a relationship, it could create some blocks in furthering that relationship in the love and relationship. And therefore, it is important for us to recognize each other's weak points and also their good points. But essentially, as devotees, we should always look out for the good points of people that we are relating. We should not become like a fly, looking for the bad side. Yes.
Just following on from what you said about, we should hear people's problems and, not just tell them to chant Hare Krishna. That's fine. So when it comes, I was thinking about at work, right? I don't have any devotee friends, right? So what happens is, like, I'm really friendly with everyone and they are friendly with me. But then when it comes to socializing, sometimes, they'll invite me to something and it'll be like, okay, son, or, to go and socialize with them. And sometimes when it's an obligation, I'll try my best to speak. I mean, I don't preach to them directly, but speak something up a little bit more of a topic that's not so too much of nonsense. I'll try. But then, sometimes I really struggle. It's like, no, I'd rather just go for fun. Why should I go there? So I don't know how to.
I understand your point. Some of that devotees, they have that type of challenge also. Sometimes they like, block their friends who are not completely. You see, I can give you a very gross example of myself, okay? I can give you a very gross example. Now, there's one of my professors. She's a Caucasian. Now we went for, she was taking us a course in qualitative reasoning analysis. And then because I was excelling in that course, so she just developed some interest in me. And now we met at one of our residencies. And then, then she said, she came to invite me to go out with her. So can you imagine? I said, Nancy, I will not come So I said it's all right. But then in that residency, I have 2 or 3 of my classmates, and one of them is a retired military major, and the other one is from Jamaica. So I asked them that, Dr. Suster is asking me to come for lunch. Are you coming? But he said she didn't invite them. So I said, it's all right. So then we had a particular day. So then, when I went back to the house, I just told the devotees that I was staying in their home that, I'm going for a lunch with one of my professors. So, get my lunch bag ready. Okay, so I took my lunch bag with me. Then I went. The idea of calling me, she wanted to introduce me to one of our friends, another Caucasian, who is a statistician, the professor of statistics, and 3 of our students that are graduating into their PhD. She wanted me to meet them. So then, the point is, I would just, it's down the whole thing and say, come on, she was the place. Okay. I'm a senior, I'm calling for the lunch. So, the point is, when we have our boundaries, we should also think of how to be able to lure people to Krishna. Then we need to have very strong foundation. People even know I'll give you another example. See, I have some professor friends. So the first time I went to meet him at his office, you know, he said he wanted to take me out for a drink. So we went to the cafeteria in the university there. So then we went there, so he said, what am I going to fix? I said, something. So we were there, but then idea was to be able to discuss, strategize for some future conference that we want to make some presentations and to see how we can help other professors in bringing other people from their institutions. So but then I was there with you. That was a purely academic setting. Okay? And the idea was, look, I was making you understand that, look, I am free for you, I'm free with you, I'm yours, and we're friends. But then you know what? That very professor, he turned to be so favorable to Christian consciousness. He developed a course in his university department that we used to come to teach every second semester for 3 weeks. Direct Christian. It's called spiritual philosophies. So in the relationship that you create, and it's not that, you know, when we are devotees, we simply blanket everybody else. And we also have to make some sacrifice in terms of how to bring people closer. Otherwise, they will just see us as isolated people. But again, we have to have strong spiritual foundation to be able to get that type of, you know, work going.
So it's kind of like, I will go to, you know, I'll go and socialize with them, and then maybe eventually they'll start thinking, like, oh, maybe I can come to the something like that.
I say, you know, that professor I was talking about, I remember one time, I think I was flying, I came to the country, I went into Nigeria, but I knew that I was very busy, so I didn't tell him. The day I was leaving, I told him, I've been in the country, but I'm leaving today. He said, which of the airports? I'm coming to meet you at the airport. Again, I was busy with some people that are taking me to the airport, and I have some meeting with them, and I have to give them my time. So I just told him, no, don't worry, when I come next time, I'll do this. So that is the strength of the relationship. And you know what? This very professor, when he was middle or almost to the final stage of his PhD, he came to the US and he got a job here, got settled down here, got married and all this type of things. So I told him that, see, you are in the field, me, I'm a priest. You are in the academic field. Go back and defend your thesis. Go back and defend your thesis. Get your PhD, put it in your pocket. Then you can come back. But you know what? Even his family members had told him that he wouldn't do it. But he was afraid of losing me as his friend. So he went back to defend his thesis. So you see, we have to be clever and, you know, be very strategic in creating very strong relationships. But we have to have a strong vehicles to do it. So spiritual life is not about being a recluse. And even those of you who are working in offices, be available, make friends with people in the office. One day, somebody will come to ask you about what you're doing, and it will be a chance for you to bring the person closer to Krishna. If you put everybody away, oh, they are karmis, get out from here, then, you know, it's like, we're not going to be able to help people. But before we do that, we should make sure that we have proper sadhana. When we have proper sadhana, then, you know, Krishna will help us. That's not it. Yes, thank you very much. In the absence of any other comments or questions, I would like to, I pray for the adjournment of this meeting. All right, you got this.
Okay, Hare Krishna, thank you so much. Can we all together just thank Maharaj by loudly saying Hari Bol 3 times? Hari Bol! Hari Bol!
Before I forget, those of you who have pens, feel free to reach me anytime. I could be reached on Gmail, on email, VBS, B as in Bhakti, V as in Vasudev, S as in Swami, dot BTS. B as in Bhakti, T as in theater, S as in Swami at gmail.com. bbs.bts@gmail.com. Or you can Google me on Facebook. Bhakti Vasudev Swami. Bhakti Vasudev Swami. Feel free. I'm a liberal guy. Free. That's fine.
I also want to thank Yamaraj Prabhu and Raga Mata for bringing Maharaj all the way from Alachua. So can we please say Haribol to them 3 times as well to thank them.
And thank you very much, Mama, for pulling me down to Tampa. Uma, I was just telling the other man that Uma is like, my first daughter, because I know her younger brother, for a number of years, and sometimes we meet in Africa, sometimes, they meet me in my travels in America, they travel to places that I'm going, and so just to meet me. I remember Oma when she was doing her masters, I told her, open a Bhakti yoga club in your school, and then she said, Maharaj, I'm not a preacher, I can't do it. So I press on. Then, later she did that, and then she was enjoying the whole project, correct?
Very much. We will take you.
I go up to Africa every year, but I don't spend so much time there.
Where do you?
I spent 6 months in another part of the world. Like August, go to
What is the guy's name that you gave me his number before and he gave me a ride here?
Sudhir.
What is it called?
Sudhir.
How do you spell that?
S-U-D-H-I-R. Sudhir. Oh, he's here right now if you want to speak to him.
I thought you were looking at this time
Oh. Haha, who's this? Ravan, man. Show Nani, go on.
My yoga class.
You like that?
I got another book too.
Alright, good.
In my
Then I come and check it to pick out karnak. But you want to get this problem. The job. Come to it the lay like it. Then I come and check. Put it in the bag. But you want to buy a problem.
Let me show you. Let me show you which one I got.
मैं खबर थे के लिए Okay, now I lay it. रावण ने वो गमती थी ने मैं तेरे क्यों रावण ने हनुमान तो ले दे सक okay? फिर आए के गमे तो जोई ले जाए और मैं तेरे मोटी आई भी थी क्या मुझकी मैं मोटी झाड़ी आई भी थी कलर वाली क्या मुझकी तो ले ले जोई ना तुम्हारे के